everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Our podcast is about Manifest Destiny, and we're going to talk about the Louisiana Purchase, the War of 1812, the Townshend Acts, the Gold Rush, and the Donner Party. So, the Louisiana Purchase. Now, we've all kind of heard about it, but we don't really know what it is that much. Do you, Jacob?
No, I do not.
Alright, thank you for your input. So, the Louisiana Purchase was made in 1803, and it was around $18 per square mile. Now, this was a lot of square miles, so it cost a buttload of money. And they purchased 530 million acres of land. It was signed by Robert Livingston, James Monroe, and Francois Barbet Marbois. I think that's how you say it. And the thing with the Louisiana Purchase is that the original owners of it were France. And it's not like the full states, but the states that were included in the purchase were Arkansas, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Minnesota, Louisiana, New Mexico, Texas, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, and Colorado.
Next up, we have the War of 1812. The War of 1812 obviously took place in 1812, and it was a conflict fought between the United States and the United Kingdom. It started in June of 1812 to February of 1815, and on June 18th, 1812, President James Madison signed into law the American Declaration of War after heavy pressure from the war hawks in Congress. And peace negotiations began in August of 1814, and the Treaty of Ghent was signed on December 24th, 1814. The United States suffered many costly defeats at the hands of the British, Canadian, and Native American troops over the course of the War of 1812, including the capture and burning of the nation's capital, Washington.
The Townshend Acts were a series of British Acts of Parliament passed during 1767 and 1768, the oldest out of all of our 5 things. So the British wanted to get the colonies to pay for themselves. The Townshend Acts were specifically made to pay for the salaries of officials like governors and judges, because they weren't making enough, apparently. The Townshend Acts were met with resistance in the colonies, which eventually resulted in the Boston Massacre of 1770, which is one of the reasons the Fourth Amendment exists. They placed an indirect tax on glass, lead, paints, paper, and tea, all of which needed to be imported from Britain. They also established an American Customs Board in Boston to collect even more taxes. They set up new courts in America to prosecute smugglers without using a local jury, so it wouldn't be an actual trial. They just completely sentenced them without anything. And they gave British officials more rights to search colonists' houses and businesses. Again, Fourth Amendment thing.
Ooh. Now it's time for our newest segment, Questions with Answers. Okay, when did the Gold Rush happen?
Well, Jacob, it started in roughly 1848.
Who was it founded by?
Well, it wasn't really founded. The first nuggets of gold, were found by James W. Marshall, and then people started following.
Where did it take place?
It took place in California, as we know, and it was in Sutter's Mill in Coloma, California.
When did it take place?
I already say that? It started in 1848.
Specific date.
I'm just gonna take a wild guess here and say it might have been January 24th.
How many people came?
Now, this number's about to blow your mind, Jacob, okay? It was roughly 300,000. That's so much.
How many pounds of gold did the miners extract?
So, the miners extracted about 750,000 pounds of gold. So, one person could have gotten 2.5 of what they. So one person could get 2.5 pounds of gold if it was all spread evenly, but that probably wasn't the case. Some people just got really lucky, and some people got nothing, because that's the way and how it worked.
Alright, now Now give me a moment to review your score. Drum roll, please. You got them all right. Woo.
Okay, thank you. Did you take your medicine today?
No.
All right, now the host has switched bodies. So now we're talking about the Donner Party with our lovely contestant, Jacob.
Yeah, woohoo! I'm here, about to get the cash prize of $10.
Yeah.
I'm all right, even though the entry fee was $50.
Yep, good job, Jacob.
I know I'm rich, not to flex, but my mom gave me $4 for ice cream this morning. Ooh yeah,
What'd you spend it on?
ice cream.
Okay, so who was the Donner Party? Or what was the Donner Party?
Wasn't a person. The Donner Party was a group of American pioneers who migrated to California in a wagon train from the Midwest.
Did they also get the gold?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's not an actual question. They were delayed by a series of mishaps, and they spent the winter of 1846 snowbound in the Sierra Nevada.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So, why?
Because they fought, but they were delayed by a series of mishaps.
Thank you, Jacob. So, how much did all of them make it out, or did some of them, die?
Well, most of them died. Of the 83 members who were trapped in the mountains, only 45 survived to reach California.
So, not the majority.
Not the majority.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. So, how did they
Sorry
survive during the winter? That must have been really cold and stuff.
Well, most of the migrants actually resorted to cannibalism to
Blech.
survive, eating the bodies of those who had succumbed to starvation and sickness.
Okay, Jacob, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, did they get any sick? Did they get sick from eating each other?
They did.
Thank you, Jay.
If you're wondering what the disease is called, it's called Kuru.
That sounds
Kind of like Car Guru, but it's actually Kuru with a K instead of a G.
It reminds me of Guru.
That's what I just said.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jacob, for being a lovely contestant on our test show.
You're welcome.